I will record this. Now we're recording. Okay, so we go to transform compute, and I want to put each of these values. So there's 1685. Anyone remember what I said that was? Was that men? Well, we'll change the name if it's not.
Yeah, based on like the screen behind you, I think it's men.
Okay, so we just add these up.
Are you
There is
including
a
the
function you
beat?
can use too. What are you asking?
Are you including the one about beating other men? Is that number four?
Yeah, let's get rid of that.
I don't know if it's number four. You might want to move this box and you can see right below.
There.
And then it's out of four now instead of five.
Now I'm debating whether we should do that or not. I haven't published the uh confirmatory factor analysis, and so I don't want us to get caught up because we use an existing scale and we make a change to it. So let's actually not do that. It's a good thought, but I'm going to put it back in.
Okay.
It will not change anything either. I'm putting cos for cosmetic surgery, and there. Okay, good. Now we do the same thing. And it should be down here. Yeah, because we want to be able to cite the scientific reports. That's a big journal, and that will add credibility to what we're doing. Okay, now we're going to turn these into z-scores. Whoops. No, we do it this way. We go to descriptive statistics. We click on descriptives. We pop these two new variables in. Oh, we can't do it this way. I don't even want to explain to you why we can't. Um, just Well, I guess I should explain. I was just about to standardize. So we asked the questions in two different ways. All men receive something about other males, all women receive something about other females. If I standardized it on those two separate variables that we just calculated, it would standardize within each of the sexes. And I think what we want is we want to preserve if there's actually a sex difference in the way that they endorse these things. My guess is that men and women, well, I mean, let's just do it. We'll find out. So usually what I do is I combine it into a single variable. I'll do that first. We'll compute a variable and we will basically, we'll get rid of this. And we're just going to add these two things together. Now, of course, no one has both of these. So if this works, then we should have everything in one column again. And we can z-score them both separately. But it may not work because it may not want to add things if you're missing. Yeah, it didn't work. Okay. Uh, Actually, we don't. So all the men are down here, it looks like.
Are you trying to put them in the same column?
I'm trying to put them in the same column, yeah.
I think you can do an
And
if and compute the variable then.
huh?
Can you compute a new variable with an if statement? If male, then pull this. If female, then pull this.
In Excel, we could do that. In SPSS, the way to do it is probably, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I can't remember what it is. So we're going to do it this way. That's not what I wanted. We're going to paste these here, and then we'll, so now the problem is we've got zeros here. So now we put this over here, and we go Control H. Wait, did I paste it right? I want to paste values. Yeah. And now I'll Control H. Match entire cell contents has got to be selected. You can see I was just already doing this. Find any zeros and replace them. And so we'll replace all. Now we've just got rid of the zeros. We did not want those in there. And so we will just now take this and pop it back into SPSS. I find that working with SPSS, it really helps to have Excel on board as well. Okay, so now let's see if what I was going to say is correct. Well, the first thing we can do is we can just look at what the means are for male. We'll just get descriptive statistics for males and females for all of these, and we'll see if they're the same.
Don't you need ISC as a scale variable?
What?
The Oh, it did work. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so the mean intersexual competition for men is 8.69, 8.69, and for women it's 7.61. Um, that's a big sex difference. So what does that mean? That means that this, so when we look at this chart, we're assuming that this 0 and this -1 and this +1 are the same, but in fact, there's an offset where the men are over here and the women are over here. Now, it still shouldn't change too much in how we interpret this, but it's something to remember. Like what it means is that if we go, okay, so I'm getting into the statistical weeds and we don't need to actually go there. Once we do multi-level modeling with this, then it becomes a bit of a problem because you can get something called separation of predictors. But right now, I don't think it's going to make a difference. But I wonder how I handled this in the last data set because I would have seen it and would have done something with it. I must be, okay, make a note of this. We are going to assume that higher intersexual competition among men doesn't mean that they actually are more competitive, just that women are not endorsing as high of values on these scales for social desirability purposes. So men like to say, yeah, I'm competitive, and women don't. If that's true, then it justifies us running the analysis where we just average across all of them. Or no, I'm sorry, we standardize within each of the sexes. Uh, so that's one strategy. The other strategy is that we keep these separate. Hmm. I must have done it this way. I wouldn't have put these graphs in like this if I didn't standardize within sex, then I wouldn't have done it this way. Because I have a way of offsetting the graphs.
But if we put sex in as we have the dummy variable for sex in there, so it's controlling for the
Yeah.
effect of sex in the model.
Well, I haven't done any modeling yet.
Well, you
You
built
mean
the
when I
relationship.
run the model, it's controlling for sex? No, it's not. This is a common misconception. The only way it's controlling for sex is if I don't have that interaction term. Once you put the interaction term in, you're not in an analysis of covariance realm anymore. So most people in the medical field, most people in business, most people in, political science, they do exactly what you're talking about. Economics, they put these variables in and they're using them as ways of covariating out excessive variance, but that's actually not statistically warranted unless you can see that there's no interaction, and we're going to see interactions. We have an interaction right here. So we can't do that. So just make a mental note, and I'm sure Google will help us or Zoom will help us remember. Make a mental note that what we are doing is we are standardizing within sexes under the assumption that men find it easier to endorse items about being competitive than women. So the gender difference on this scale doesn't make a difference. Now, the gender difference on a scale of would you like to receive facial injections? There, the gender difference is a viable thing for us to investigate. Is there a self-report bias? Potentially, you know. But luckily, what we're really interested in is probably the slopes for females, and so the males are just kind of a control condition anyway, and there's all sorts of things that could be happening, and we're not going to worry too much about it. Okay, so let's get back to the analysis. So we have this descriptive statistics that we just ran. And what I didn't do, here, I'm going to get rid of this. Well, actually, we'll leave it in there. We might as well have it. I'm going to unclick these options. We don't need all of this now. Keep the mean. But when you click this box, it's going to save everything as standardized values, so z-scores. So we'll have z-scores centered within men, z-scores centered within women, and z-scores across men and women. It'll make 3 new variables. Let's make sure it did. Yes. Now we have our dummy variable. Let's see. We have our sex effect. So effects codes, remember, are -1 and +1. And we have our dummy codes, 0 and 1. The first thing we should do is we should create an interaction with the sex effect codes because that gives us our analysis of variance. Doesn't allow us to plot, but it gives us our analysis of variance. And so we will um, transform compute variable. Oh, we have to do one more thing. We have to combine these two into a single column. So in the interest of time, I will do this later. This is the analysis we're really going to go with, or maybe I'll let you all do it. I'm going to do it the incorrect analysis, but it should be approximately right with this z-score centered. It's centered across everybody. So we'll transform, compute the variable sex effect times the z-score for the ISC for cosmetic surgery. And we will call this effect interaction. Now let's call it INT effect, ENT effect, INT EF. Now we can run the analysis. We go to regression, we go to linear. Oh, that's odd. It pulled up my, that's wild. I had shut this down. I didn't realize it would pull up the last analysis we ran. Okay, so we want the effect code for males and females. We want the z-score that we calculated for the cosmetic surgery variables. We could also use it for other things. And then we want the interaction. And our outcome variable is going to be I would seriously consider having cosmetic surgery if my partner thought it was a good idea. I would think about having cosmetic surgery in order to keep looking young. Each one of these is good. We'll just go through them in order. Okay, so we click OK. So we are explaining a significant amount of variance. We first get this model summary that tells us the R, and then the R squared, which is the amount of variance in the outcome variable that is explained by the linear combination of the predictors, including the interaction. And that means about 6% of the variance is being explained. 6% of cosmetic surgery variance is being explained. Now, much of it might be explained by the sex difference, right? But we're seeing down here that the sex difference is explaining a good chunk, but the t-test is even higher for the intersexual competition measure, and there's no interaction. So if we want to plot this, we are going to see, we're going to see, so tell me what we'll see with the two lines if we plot this, there not being an interaction. I mean, what's the picture going to look like?
Parallel.
Parallel, and the female will be the
It
effects
depends on how we
code is
chemical it.
-1 and +1. And so that means there's two steps to go from one level to the other level. This coefficient tells you how much a 1 unit change in the predictor leads to, how much of a change it leads to in the outcome. So a 1 unit change would be -2.78. A 2 unit change, as we go from -1 to +1, would be 0.5456, something like that, 0.56. And so that's the offset that you'll see between men and women. But the lines are parallel. So this is interesting because this tells us that if this is correct, this tells us that women are susceptible to cosmetic surgery. But if you ask this question in terms of if my partner thought it was a good idea, would seriously consider it as well as intersexual competition goes up. I think that's really fascinating. I'm wondering if this will happen with the next. Let's run the next one. I mean, in the plastic surgery world, men do go there, right? But very often
For
it
like
seems
volitional
they're
stuff, it should be mostly women.
From what I've read in recent years, especially after COVID, there's been an uptick in males getting plastic surgery.
So the next one, let's see what we get here. I would think about having it in order to keep looking young. Again, now there's a big sex difference. Um, but intersexual competition is still predicting things and there's no interaction. Wow. I'm going to run this, then I'm just going to run the other two because I am really surprised by this. And I'm wondering now if our decision to use the measure that is standardized across sexes is causing this problem. But it shouldn't. That shouldn't be what happened. Uh, I would seriously consider having cosmetic surgery if I thought my partner would find me more attractive. Here, there's not even a sex difference for men and women. Wow. And no interaction. Not even a whiff of an interaction. If a simple cosmetic surgery procedure would make me more attractive to others, I would think about trying it. Just across the board, we are getting no interactions. Wow.
How is this different from
And,
saying, oh, go ahead,
no, please.
that
So
ISC predicts a person's willingness to undergo plastic surgery over and above the effect of sex?
yes, you can absolutely say that.
Okay, I think that's going to be a huge seller at this conference because it's just like if there's another heuristic for who we should be marketing our volitional services to, it's
Oh
like,
yeah, let's help them take advantage of people that are competitive with each other.
yeah.
I mean, those people are kind of assholes, so I guess I don't have a lot of sympathy for them. Um,
The
So
question,
wait a
but
second. Men don't compete on looks as much as women.
yeah, that's what's blowing me away. The fact that intersexual competition predicts it for men and women is bizarre to me.
Like if a guy gets Botox, the guys in his circle are not gonna get Botox. They're gonna make fun of the one with the Botox.
That's right. We just had a men's drum circle yesterday and we mocked a guy. That's what we do for wearing yeah. So yeah, that's what we do. That's what men do. No, we actually don't do anything like that. I'm not allowed to tell you what we do at these events. Isaac can know, but the rest of you can't.
That's sexism.
You are welcome to have women's groups where you have gatherings. Every time I explain this to people, like women are like, "Well, are you talking about us?" It's actually not what men's work is about. It's about like getting together and practicing listening. That's like a big thing. You have to sit around and listen to other people and not interrupt. You should do this. That's not allowed. Then we get the truncheons out if you interrupt. Okay, last question.
Vaughn, I had a quick question about that. So that question that we were just examining, was that ordered after the questions about injectables? I can't remember from the list.
So this is a great question. I think that they were randomly
Oh,
presented.
okay.
So there shouldn't be order effects.
Okay.
Um,
What inspired that question was my first thought was I feel like the rise of men traveling to Turkey to get hair transplants has been popularized recently. I'm wondering if they were just
yeah,
go back and retest that, but that was an aspect of plastic surgery I just remembered.
yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so now we've run all of these and we haven't had a single interaction, which we do get for everything else. I mean, we can go to the other. So this is weird. Let's do a different regression and let's see what I'm talking about. I'm going to get rid of everything here. Okay. So here is the original z-score and the original interaction, not the dummy interaction. And now we're going to plug in for our dependent variable plug this in, we should get an R of 0.324 if I am remembering this correctly. We have an R of 0.324, right? So there we go. So here we have, oh, it's a marginally significant interaction, but still, it's a lot better than what we've got. So we are still, so I didn't do anything horrific to wipe this out because we're still getting the same results that we got in the past. Here's the injectables. Again, a significant interaction. Okay. So when we ask about specific things, there's a difference for men and women. But when we ask about cosmetic surgery in general, there's not a difference. I wonder if this is because men don't even understand what these questions are unless you talk about it in a general way. Yeah, I'd get cosmetic surgery, you know. Oh, injectables, what? Botox, ugh.
I mean, injectables to a man can mean something different. Like just make your biceps look bigger with an injectable.
Those are implants.
No, but like I can predict many men think there's probably a shot out there that would make my biceps look bigger.
Yeah, especially the guys that want big biceps. I sit in the sauna with these guys at EOS Fitness, or I used to. I no longer can tolerate it. And the level of conversation that they've got is like pretty lowbrow. But we have injectables. So anyone remember what order that was? Implants. Oh, here's implants. Uh, so when we look at implants, we still have an interaction. So at least at the time this data was collected in 2019, that is how long it took us to get that first paper published. It's still not out. Ah. Okay, so let's see. So the next thing that's possible is that I messed up in, let's fix that. Let's get that z-score that's standardized within sex. Let's do that. I won't make you do it. I'll do it myself. We want to take these two columns, paste them into our worksheet as we did here. We want this here. We want to copy it. Paste special values. Control H. Make sure match entire cell contents and get rid of it. Okay, so now we can paste the back end. And we'll put this at the end. Nope, we're in the wrong data set. Sorry. There we go. So I'm gonna put this here. So now I've combined these. So now let's rename this. So we call this grand mean centering, what I did before. So I'm going to say GMC, grand mean centering. And then unfortunately, we call the other one group mean centering, which is also GMC. So I probably should have thought this through. Grand mean centering, I guess I'll just say So this one will become group mean centered. This is a term from multi-level modeling. And it's not a string, it's a number. And so now we can make another interaction, analyze, nope, transform, compute, and we want the same sex effect in there. Say group here. We want this other z-score. Now we can rerun these and see if we get the same kinds of results.
Do you want to just paste it as syntax and do it all at once?
Nope. I hate that. I like doing it this hard way. The reason I don't do, yeah, if I was going to quickly run through all of this stuff, then I would paste it into syntax and just cut and paste and do it that way. And I will keep the syntax at some point. But right now, what we're doing is trying to figure out if we made a mistake and wiped out those interactions by grand mean centering. And so I just want to kind of get a sense of this.
Okay.
Okay, so so now let's go back to this first one. If we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so up here, let's see, that's not it. That's not it. Here we go. So this is the one that we ran with the grand mean centering. We had an R of 0.244. Our interaction was 0.837. Both of these things could change. The R shouldn't change too much, but this stuff could really change. So that's what we're going to look at now. So the R stays at 0.244 because we still have the same amount of, whoops, sorry. We still have the same amount of total variance to decompose and the same predictors, but the predictors are slightly different since we've shifted the males and females off or together more. And so I'm surprised to see this is the same. Wow, it's exactly the same. I'm going to go back up here and look at this again. What has changed? So the interaction stays exactly the same, but the sex effect goes from negative 2.754 to negative 1.408. And the intersexual competition goes from 3.712, could be the same. 3.717, it's a little different. So either way that we run it, we're getting basically the same results. And I'm guessing that the interaction will stay the same for all of the rest of them too. Do you all have access to SPSS?
It's free
Do
for
you
its
all?
use.
Yeah, I figured that you did. What about let me say, do you use SPSS? Would it be better for me to be doing this in R? No one cares. Bailey, what's Rob using?
He's using SPS. He's like making note of how we would do things in R, but we haven't gone into that yet.
But you are
So
using
SPSS
SPSS.
is fine. Yes.
Okay, great. And Emily, in your work, what did you use?
Well, I used SPSS for a lab, social psych lab course in my undergrad last year. So I am familiar with SPSS, but I think my lab, they tend to like to use R more. And I think also the grad students actually in the cognitive science program, they use R for their stats. So it's a toss
Yeah.
up.
I think R is probably better, but it's not as capable of this kind of plug and play, even if you use something like, R Studio or something like that that sort of makes it look like this. It's not optimized for the kinds of things that SPSS is. Not yet. See, there's a bit more of it's a bit steeper, the learning curve. Okay, let's see. I'm really curious about how this interaction term is not changing. So no interaction here. 0.367. Go up here. 0.383. So it is changing. It is possible. It is possible to change. Let's knock out the rest of these, and then we'll plot them. And then we should be done. We can plot them this way, I guess. If you remember how I plotted it last time, that technique will be a little bit different. Jesus Christ, there we go. Yeah, so things are changing a little bit. Here, let's go back to our first one. If I would seriously consider having cosmetic surgery if my partner thought it was a good idea. Let's plot this. So the last time I had dummy codes, how does this work with effects codes? I could screw this up. Let's see if I can get it right. Well, no, because there'll be a big kink in the graph. Okay. So here we're gonna put the cosmetic surgery items. Nope. There. Okay, so our constant in a regression model is what the expected value is at 0 on all of the other predictors. So this is going to be a value that doesn't really exist because women are coded -1 and men are coded 1, right? So if we want to go from -1 to +1 for females, then the intercept is going to be this value. And then we want to go down one unit for women. And so we subtract this value. For men, we want this intercept, but we want to go up this value. And because that's a negative value, it goes in the opposite direction. So women, on average, are reporting a 2.4, and men are reporting a 2.13. Now, if we want to go down 1, what the group, what this tells us is what we shift with a 1 unit change of the group-centered intrasexual competition measure. But that's evaluated at 0 on the other predictor, and so it's something that doesn't exist again. And so actually what we need to do is we need to take this value and we need to adjust it by the interaction. And so we will take this and we will subtract off this plus this. Or is that minus this? Ah, this is where I'm going to mess it up. As you go up 1, it's minus. Nope, that's not what I want. And then this one should be this equals, no, this. Okay, I'm just going to abort this attempt right now because I cannot remember how to do this. I got to run it the other way. Maybe I do, but we need to run it the correct way, and we only have 7 minutes, and I want to give you the picture. And then I can let you all try to finish this up if you want. So I have to transform compute variables and create a different interaction score now, which is the dummy one, dumb. So we still use the group mean centered, but instead of this -1 and +1, we're using this dummy score. So now we get rid of all of these. We'll put the same dependent variable we were working in there. Get rid of all of these. Now we're going to use the dummy code. This z-score version, intersexual competition, and then the interaction of the dummy and the group. So now you'll note that we get the same values here, 0.244, 0.5397 for the F test. Interaction stays the same. These values shift around though. The values of the main effect. So we'll take that, we'll paste it in below. Nope. It's too bad. Okay. Gonna pop this down here. Okay. So now, again, with regression, the intercept or the constant is the value we predict at every predictor variable being at 0. So that would be average intersexual competition, and women are coded as 0. So it's for the females. And so we just put, oops. equals this. Something's off with my ability to click these on this sheet. Equals this. Let's try it again. There we go. Okay, now it's working. So now this is going to be this minus this. And then one above is going to be this plus this value. And then for men, we take this constant and we add this value. So 2.4 and 2.13, we have the same values here. Oh, and we have 2.137 and 2.137 here. So I must have got it sort of right. Let's see how this works. Here we're going to take equals this, and we subtract off this, but we add this. Yeah, okay, there we go. You see, I got to this point and I knew I was screwing it up. I'll figure out how I fix that.
Don't you add to go to -1 and subtract to go to +1?
Probably. It's like there's like an infinite variety of dyslexic things that I could have done there. So that is why you all don't have to be held back by my inability to think through positives and negatives, but this is how I've learned to do it to work around my own issues. Okay, so let's see. Where are we? Equals this plus open paren this plus this. Well, there's my 2.56. That doesn't seem right. I think that's wrong too. I'm thinking through this. I don't think this is right, but we'll plot it and we'll see. If the lines are straight, then it's right. Okay, it must be right. I should have more confidence in myself. Axis is always coming up with this dumb 14 decimal places. How about we just go 1 decimal place? There we go. There. Okay, so there we have our graph. It does sort of look like there's an interaction, but there's not. And if anything, the interaction is trending in the direction of the men having a steeper slope. So intersexual competition makes men kind of catch up with women. But we don't want to overinterpret this. So are there any questions? It's 4:32. I've kept you entirely too long again. Yes.
I have 2 questions unrelated to this. Can I ask?
Uh, Sure, but can we ask questions about this first?
Okay. Yeah.
You're not testing different hypotheses with this dummy code and this effect code, right?
No,
Okay, cool.
no. The model, so it's just a way of when you have a categorical variable, you have to come up with a number for it. Like I could also we could run this without having centered the intersexual competition, and we'd still get the same R squared, the same overall ANOVA for the model fit. So these are just ways of reparameterizing a predictor, but the same amount of variance is accounted for by those predictors. Now ask your question again, because you said, are you testing a different model?
Or
Is that what
testing
you
a
said?
hypothesis with the dummy versus the effect code. I don't think you are.
Well, in a sense you are. Here's the sense in which you are. With the effect code, I have a main effect of sex that I'm testing. So this t-test is my main effect of sex. With the dummy code, the t-test in this position is no longer the main effect of sex. It is the slope for women.
Okay.
So the take-home message is that across these plastic surgery values, we have no interactions when people are asking or thinking about these questions about I would use cosmetic surgery to enhance my appearance. So I think this is what we should go for. I'm going to stop sharing. I think this is what we should go for. Yeah, you can say that, Isaac. I just saw
Yeah. Is that the way
your
I
thing
think
in the
that's the way
chat.
that plastic surgeons would want to hear it.
Well, um, just because they want to hear it that way doesn't mean we have to say it that way. Because I think the more interesting thing is that ISC predicts men's willingness to undergo plastic surgery more than we would have thought.
There we go.
They probably know the plastic surgeons probably know that the women coming in there are a bit competitive with each other. They probably have cat fights break out in the lobby of the office all the time. But the prospect that they could like now be going and finding men that if their partner, I mean, let's think about the way these questions are worded too. If my partner found it better, if it helped with my job, you know, each one of those, each one of those is saying something a little bit different.
I mean, it's
I
probably
mean,
more than sufficiently novel for them to know that there is such a measure of intrasexual competition, that it's something that they could be thinking about.
look, I agree. I am optimistic that our way of thinking about this is something that people would be interested in. But I am often blown away by the fact that other people don't find our measures that interesting. What they will find interesting is the fact that this is something that affects men as much as women.
Okay.
It seems like that's an additional step, but I think that most people want to get to that final step anyway. I'm just going to paste the questions in here so we can look at them. That didn't come out very cleanly, did it? But if you want to copy them and think about them, just really think about the fact that across the board we have significant effects for intersexual competition. And sometimes there's a sex difference, but often there's not. Now, what would you like me to provide you? Would you like to be able to plot more of these things and practice that? Because I can give you the different outcomes. I can run the analysis and paste it in there and let you mess around with it. Or I can let you try to run the analyses. It would be better for you to run the analyses yourself.
If it's up to me, like I I'm just at a point where I think we should get a analyses document ready, like a dossier of everything, all the analyses, so that we can be ready
Okay.
to write an abstract pretty soon.
Well, and we apparently have to have a paper done by the 17th. So this is something I feel comfortable in saying. Shelley didn't even really know that this existed. I mean, she came up with the questions a while back, but we have not been thinking about these questions at all. There's only one version of them. So let's leave the other stuff for a different publication and let's go with these questions here for this because then they can have the data. So how do we want to parse this up? Isaac, you're obviously going to be the lead on this because it's your conference and you're the one paying $1,000 to go give a poster. So you get to be first. Uh, Shelley and I will be last. Um, or maybe Shelley will be interested in being further up, but certainly not above second. So would you like to hang out and continue to chat and divvy things up? Or do you all want some time to think about this? What do you need from me? It's 4:38 and I have to have some lunch or dinner, maybe.
If you're willing to do a dossier of analyses, that's all I would need. And I could turn it into an abstract pretty fast, but I'll want help in the spring making a poster or a speech at this point if we end up getting a podium.
Well, we have to put an abstract together, but we also have to have enough comfort with these analyses to know what we've got there. So if we go back over here, I know that I probably shouldn't keep you any longer. My belly is certainly not wanting to stay much longer, but let's just go back to this document. And if we go up here, let's see, descriptives, this is where we started looking at the new data. So for the first question, to what extent do you agree? Yeah, so we've already looked at this. Cosmetic surgery, if my partner thought it was a good idea. In order to keep looking young, we have sex difference and an intersexual competition effect. I'll pop that into the sheet here. I'm going to go ahead and put these down below. And then I'll share this. So you have all of the data. Nope, 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 nope. There we go. Here, there's no sex difference. I would seriously consider having cosmetic surgery if I thought my partner would find me more attractive. So that's something that marketing can use, right? There's no sex difference here. There was a sex difference for the looking young. Why might there be a sex difference for if it would keep me looking young, but not for attractive?
Because being young for women is more valuable than for men.
Right. So that's the kind of thing we want to highlight. Uh, I feel like as I do this, the word doddering is coming up. I feel like I'm doddering. I'm not moving swiftly and ninja-like.
That's the nature of SPSS, I think, in my experience anyway.
No, it's me. Thank you for that, but it's me. Um, if simple cosmetic surgery, I don't remember what this is. If it would help me in my job, maybe. Make me more attractive to others. Wait, so which one did I just, if my partner would find me more attractive, here we have no sex difference, but if it would make me more attractive, there we do have a sex difference. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm looking at? Here we've got a really robust T value, and here we don't have, I mean, it trends in that direction, but it's not that big. That's interesting. Hmm. Okay, we have one more to grab, and then I'll put this in the shared drive and you guys can mess around with it. Big sex effect for, oops, not that one. This one. Did I do these in the wrong order?
Maybe.
Let's go through these one more time. I would seriously consider having cosmetic surgery if my partner thought it was a good idea. I would think about having cosmetic surgery in order to keep looking young. There we see a big sex difference. I would seriously consider having cosmetic surgery if I thought my partner would find me more attractive. If a simple cosmetic surgery procedure would make me more attractive to others, I would think about trying it. If it would benefit my career, that's the other one. Okay. And there again, we see a big sex difference. Because how many men need to do cosmetic surgery to benefit their career? They do other things. And I think if you click on this, you should be able to see, even though it cuts it off, you can see the whole question up here in the function window. So I'll save this, and now you have the full data set.
Do you want me to make a folder on the drive for you to drop these on?
Don't we have an HSE folder?
We do, but we don't
Oh,
have
you mean a subfolder? A subfolder. Yeah, please. Okay, so Isaac's going to take the lead on putting this together, but we're going to need to think about how to write this paper. Who is interested in developing the narrative strategy? I think Isaac could use some help. Not doubting your confidence, Isaac, but you're a man, and it would be really
No,
helpful to have at least some sort of gender equity here.
I
Okay.
can help.
I can as
I mean,
well.
that's assuming that we even decide to submit to AAFPRS. Because we can do it in the
Why
distance.
not? I mean, look, we started off with the disappointing realization that what we submit there we can't publish elsewhere. This is the perfect data for us to submit and not worry about that, and then it becomes a publication. It's not a great publication, but it's something. I mean, for you, Isaac, I think it'll be a good piece of your portfolio. But for everyone, it's effectively peer reviewed, so it's good.
And okay, that's not going to work in here.
Okay, I'll drop it in the folder and we'll call it a day. Next week, I want to get back to looking at ESA's data, and we might have a Wednesday meeting to prep for that if anyone wants to show up at 7 a.m.
Do we need anything else mathematically wise before I make an abstract? Before I start an
Well,
abstract?
actually, I don't think the abstract should have any of the numbers in it at all. And it's a 250 word abstract, right?
It's going to have intro, method, result, discussion, like very brief versions of each.
Yeah, so for that's what they want for an abstract, and they only have 250 words.
That's how this is how it's traditionally done at this, like the larger conference. I don't know about the specific.
Okay. Well,
I
um,
can just report the F test.
you can. I didn't give you the full F test. I gave you the sub regressions for the different items because I didn't think we were going to have to put that in there. Um, Really, what we would want then, because like you don't want to tell them, hey, our model fits. You want to tell them this is where it fits.
Hmm.
So I don't think you want to put specific numbers in there at all. You want to say across the board, we see that intersexual competition predicts interest in cosmetic surgery on these types of items. And then there's no interaction. So the slopes are the same, but there are sometimes these separations that happen where women are more responsive if the framing is about looking young.
Okay. Do I need to report the T test if not the betas?
Not in an abstract, I don't think. Maybe you do want to. But if you do, then all of the interactions are non-significant. So you just say all interactions less than 0.05. Okay? So that way you wipe out the interactions. And then if you want to report the T's with 250 words, you're going to consume a lot of it if you do that. So I would say you
All T's less
you
than
sum it
0.5.
together and you say all the T's for the intersexual competition slope effect are um, above, P or at least P are below P less than 0.06 or whatever the lowest one is. They're all significant, so it would be like 0.004 or something.
Okay.
And then for the sex effects, you could then report the T's for each one of those because sometimes those sex effects are different.
Okay.
The magnitude is different. So there it might be important for them to see that.
Okay.
Take a stab at it. You've got until the 10th of October. Share it with us next week, and then we'll figure out where we're going with this. Okay, I promise I'm not going to keep making these meetings 2 hours long. I don't know why it keeps happening. All right. Thank you all for your attention. I hope this was somewhat educational and not too frustrating watching me fumble around and not be able to find things. I will see some of you tomorrow. Laura, you had two other questions. You guys don't have to stick around for these. I'll field them
Um,
unless they're relevant.
it's really nothing urgent. I wanted to know what's happening on Wednesday mornings. Because I'm confused. I thought that was just for Isa, for her thesis or what first year project or whatever. But do we
Well,
have
she's doing a different first year project. It's that Garner interference study. And so we've just been working through the data cleaning and getting to the point where we can actually run the analyses. But this is a method that requires quite a lot of, I mean, it's really powerful if you can do it if you can work through the logic of it. But it's taking a lot more time than I thought to show how it works. So I mean, I do think it's valuable. Uh,
but so this is not the stats class that we were thinking about during summer. Okay.
no, everyone keeps asking about that, and I keep not having time to do it.
Okay.
That would be something that is posted. It's like, yeah, it's not the same thing.
Okay, okay. And then my second question was about the NSF scholarship. I know that you guys talked about it. I just wasn't here last week. Do you need to have a full project to pitch for that scholarship?
So you already have a master's degree.
No,
You don't?
I don't.
You had a data analytics master's degree.
No, I did one semester and then that's the semester I met you and Isaac and he convinced me to apply.
Well, you should probably uh I mean, you should figure out if you're eligible because you've
I
got.
am. I am.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
You looked up the hours and stuff? Yeah, so you have to pitch a specific project.
Okay.
Um, your project could be attractive. Probably anything AI is going to be attractive. Um, and so you could talk about the but I mean, how long do you want to take to get your degree?
But I was thinking about pitching my master's thesis,
Which is what?
which is about a synthetic pilot to have a human pilot fly with.
Okay. So you would have to find who's your advisor on that?
Dr. Lam.
Okay, so you'd have to talk to Heather about that then. I'm not qualified to do that.
Okay.
But if you wanted to do your AI one, like a trust in AI predict as moderated by autism spectrum disorder symptomology,
Mm-hmm.
that's another option. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't play well at NSF though. Who knows? It's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you since you've already done the work on your master's, then I would say talk to Heather about it.
Okay.
And please make sure she knows I said that too.
Okay. To talk to her?
That I suggested not that I didn't try to scoop you for the NSF, but said
Oh, yeah, yeah,
take the
yeah.
project to her because it's a project you're developing with her.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. See you all
Thank
later.
you. Bye.